Hey, welcome to the Hustle God YouTube channel. I'm Hustle God. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on my videos and to my YouTube channel. That way, the videos get out to more people and I get more engagement on my channel. I feel that my channel offers a lot of vital and valuable information to the human race, to humanity in general. Sorry that I haven't made a video in a while or uploaded any content in a while. I've been really busy with developing or writing the book, Become a Powerful Creator. If you look on my channel, you'll see the motivational speaking series, Become a Powerful Creator, in all 5 parts, starting from discovering your purpose, align your purpose, confirm your purpose, affirm your purpose, and live in your purpose. And eventually I'll take that and make that into one video and deliver that content for you guys to see in that format as well. I've also been working on the mixtape or musical tape Awaken Me, which is the musical um, description of my journey with ascension and awakening. Um, what else did I want to say? That's just the base of the intro to this video. This video will be called Awaken Me. It's basically the video um, part of this musical tape that's soon to come, Awaken Me. I always tell everybody to come to my channel and check out my story. And you kind of got to watch, like, I've now have like 60 something videos on my channel to kind of get the story. And you really don't get the story because I've never actually told the story. But you can kind of see the development of how things have progressed and how things digressed and how things started to progress and how I am to where I am now. There's a video called From Homeowner to Homeless. If you check that out, you know that those things kind of just back up the story that I'll be telling you. So you'll always be able to go back and look through those videos and see kind of this is the background to the videos that are before this. So this is kind of like the beginning and the filler in video for all of the videos that are on my channel, basically pertaining to my story. Um, so basically, I grew up with 2 parents, a very tumultuous life. My parents were addicted to drugs. My mother fell into prostitution. My father fell into being a real hard drug addict, and he also sold drugs. So I learned a lot about drugs at an early age, how to sell drugs and how to manufacture drugs, which is not really something to be proud of, but that's the story of my life. I ended up going from my parents at an early age because of their unstable environment from to live with other family members who were a little more stable, but clearly not stable, emotionally stable, or able to provide an emotionally stable environment for us. So we went to go live with the first sister by the time I was in 2nd grade, I believe. And we stayed there for a year. We went through some really crazy stuff. I just won't even mention. Then I went to live with my dad's second sister. And no, the first sister we stayed for a couple of years. We lived in motels, actually, motel to motel. Could never get like a permanent place to stay. And so I think eventually when we did get a permanent place, the life was just really a kind of what you would say physically and emotionally abusive. Then the second sister, it was a lot of physical abuse, so not so much as emotional abuse. Um, then we went to my dad's third sister, and we stayed there. We stayed the first 2 sisters' house about a year each. We stayed at the second sister's house. Well, I did for about 6, 7 years maybe. Um, and there we had a lot of mental abuse, emotional abuse, and physical abuse. I left at 13, went and moved down to, I'm from the Bay Area, went and moved down to the Southern California. Um, Went to high school down there for a little while. wasn't really my speed, I guess you could say. So I came back with the third sister, stayed there for a little while. Things just couldn't, pan out. So I went back to the first sister, actually the second sister, and stayed there for a little while. Things didn't pan out. So eventually I went and moved in with my, uh, to become what was to become my first child's father, at about 16 years old. Had a baby by about 18 years old. So I had a real tumultuous life. I did all kind of things to survive, like you could just imagine. Panhandling, um, uh, taking the BART and getting home, walking the streets home late at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, but just making it safely. So that's basically the introduction. So, because of all of the things that I had experienced in my life, I didn't believe in God, and I didn't believe that there was a God. So, in college, I had an opportunity to write a 10-page paper about what I wanted to write, and I decided to write it on to religion and to prove that God didn't exist. I decided to use this opportunity to prove that God didn't exist, and I called it the basis and foundation of religion. So I went and got the books from the 5 major religions. Um, Christianity, Catholicism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Islam. And so as I'm reading those books, excuse me, my mouth's getting dry. Excuse me. All right. As I'm reading the books, what I'm finding is that the story is so much the same all around, but told different. So either something happened that spread out, or something happened in all these places that was very similar. So to me, that was enough evidence that, whatever had taken place was real, no matter how phenomenal or out of this world it was. And so I came to that conclusion. So that led me on to my journey of looking and searching and seeking for what I did not know and what I did not understand. And at the time, I had started to learn a lot of things and uh, build a connection with what I would call my higher consciousness, my higher self. And I felt that where I had come from, I was also in college, and I had been made it through high school after dropping out of high school when I had the baby. And I decided to go. I still made it. I still ended up getting my high school diploma, but not in the conventional way. So I decided to go to college, but I took a few years off, and I went to community college first, and then I transferred to the 4-year college. Um, so I wrote the paper, and I discovered that he did exist through all of these religious texts, or something did occur that could prove that God did exist, or the Most High did exist. So once I did that, I felt this calling over my life, like to tell other people what I had found out, like the truth of what I have found, the goodness of what I have found. That if you just did certain things and lived the right way, and that there was a power in your life that could help you be successful in your endeavors in life. And so um, I was like, nah, I don't know how to go about doing that. At that time, I was thinking maybe I could just go to the schools. I know somebody who works in the schools. Maybe I could just go speak at the schools, and if nothing else, motivate like young girls who think that they can't make it from the streets and living in the street and coming from that environment, to give them hope. I had been child molested, and I have fell into a thug life, gang life, or whatever you want to call it. But I wasn't a gang. We didn't do gangs here in Oakland, but selling drugs and running the streets and doing things like that to survive, up until I was about until I had my first child, basically, which is what made me kind of get more serious about life. And so as I'm seeking and learning more and more and trying to figure out what am I supposed to do with this information, I'm feeling like I should become a motivational speaker, but I have no idea how to become a motivational speaker. I don't even know if that's a real profession at this point in time in my life. So I'm thinking about going to the schools, but I'm not really following through with my thoughts and knowing how to plan about going about following through my thoughts. So it just kind of set at the back of my mind. And I was also on a chase for my being successful at the time, and what I thought was successful, the American dream, owning a home, having a six-figure career, and a husband or a spouse, children, raising my children, and moving from the city to like the suburb, and things like that. And so I had actually accomplished that stuff, and when I accomplished that stuff, I had felt even more of a calling to go and share this message. And I had learned so much about the human body because I had gotten a degree in kinesiology, and I wanted to take this message, the message of health, to people. And so I realized that a healthy person was a person who was healthy mentally, physically, and emotionally. I had realized that, and I was trying to figure out, like, how can I bring together this all of these different aspects of the self, where a person is able to receive the information and understand that to heal the self in any one part, you have to heal the whole self. And then I started looking into holistic healing, and that was really cool, but it didn't catch like my attention as far as like being something that I could really, really convince people of, being something that they could experience. And so then came along the consciousness movement, and the shift in consciousness, with more people being aware of consciousness. And so that's where I realized that I could take all three parts of that, of those aspects of the self, and bring it into one. Um, in consciousness and self-awareness, you're aware of your emotional state, you're aware of your mental state, you're aware of your physical state at all times. So conscious awareness encompasses all of that, and it's what people experience, and it allows you to explain things that in a way that people understand them, because it's what they experience. And that's one of the highest forms of knowledge, is experience. So if you go through something, you know that you went through it, you know that what you felt, you know what you thought, you know how it made you feel physically. Those things are saved in your memory bank forever. And so you use those things as a reference in the future to like lead you and guide you into what you feel is right, and what you feel is best for you. So I became an x-ray tech. I was making the six figures, and I got really, really sick. I have been sick, actually, and I have been thinking like eventually they're going to figure this all out while I'm creating this like super life for myself. Um, so down the line, I decided I wanted to just try to be a PA, and I started looking into going to the PA school. I was supposed to go to physical therapy school, but I was just on the fence so much about a career in physical therapy, versus as a physician assistant, as my finishing degree. I have been studying theology on the side, but it wasn't something that I was doing scholastically or scholarly, however you would like to say. So I had gotten really sick, and I'm gonna take another quick break, get some water. I'm not gonna pause the video. Just chill. I'm talking so much, my mouth's getting dry really fast. I take Lyrica, and that kind of gives you dry mouth. So I kind of always have to be having dry mouth. Actually, I had some mints I could have probably used, but I can't see them from here, so I'm not even gonna go for that. So anyway, back to the story. My story, awakening of me. So I got really, really sick, and it started to get bad, where I had lost a lot of weight. I was 90 pounds. I had fourth system failure. I was an excretory failure. I was an endocrine system failure. My T cells were basically gone. I couldn't use the bathroom on my own. I couldn't feel when I needed to use the restroom. I was in digestive failure. Everything I eat, I would throw up, or it would make me super. It would cause super pain. I was in immune system failure. I couldn't fight off any type of colds or infections or anything on my own. And circulatory system was in failure. My blood pressure, I could not get it above 60. It was crazy. It was crazy. So the hospital basically sent me home to figure it out on my own. I started studying the things that I learned in college. Um, in my life, I was told like that stuff was like fake, never listened to it, never paid no attention. And so that's what I did. I found some candy. Hold tight. So I went to school, got the education, but when it came time to using it for what I possibly could use it for myself, I just didn't pay any attention. So eventually, I got to a point where I was like, I know so much about the body. Why am I waiting on these people? So much better, right? Why am I waiting on these people to give me the answers to verify and validate what I know that I'm feeling, what I know that I'm experiencing? If I know what I'm experiencing is not in homeostasis or is a disimbalance with my body, then I need to figure out what it is. And I need to use those things that I've learned to figure it out. And so I started doing that. And in the meantime, my mom came with the Lrgourl therapy. My brother came with the Dr. Sebi treatment. And all the things that I had studied, I had kind of broken down to fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, or some disease that was caused by like fleas or insect bites. So eventually I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. I won't give you the long story about that. I got really sick. I was doing the nursing therapy first after a lot of fighting against it. It was my last resort. I did it, started getting better. Decided to sell my house because of the fleas and things like that, and because of my inability to manage care for the home at that time. Decided to sell my house. At that time, my family was telling people that I wasn't really sick, that I had went crazy, that I had gotten addicted to drugs, and drugs had made me go crazy, that I had probably contracted AIDS or something very contagious that made me lose the weight. They had also sent the Child Protective Services to my house to try to take my children from me. Came and fought me. Mind you, I'm 90 pounds. I'm sick, really, really sick. Could barely walk, could barely talk. Came and fought me. You name it. And so and then at this time, I'm going through all this. I'm really, really sick. I'm no longer able to work. I'm making this big money. I'm no longer able to work. I was inspired to start this record label, Flex Gang Enterprise, which I did. I went through a couple of artists. The first few artists didn't work out, and I just couldn't understand if I was inspired to do that, why didn't they work out? And then my children end up becoming a group called Flex Gang, and that's how we came out with Flex Gang Enterprise. Initially, it was Young Hustlers Music, and I started like making music with them and touring the country with them, and that's when I got really sick and couldn't move, and my mom started the Gerson therapy, and I sold my house. When I sold my house, my family really wasn't wanting me to continue with the music, and I was telling them that the music was the only thing that was keeping me going, and they still didn't care. They wanted me to stop. So no one let me stay at their house. They put me out. I couldn't get a place because I didn't have a steady income, even though I had money. I couldn't get anyone to rent me a place. So I stayed in hotel rooms, and this is during NBA playoffs, and the Warriors when they're in championship, and so the motel rooms were like $200-300 a night. So I'm spending like $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, you name it. And so eventually that goes on for like 2 or 3 months. Eventually I get a lady to rent me a room for 6 months. I pay her 6 months in advance. I move in. at the end of the 6 months, she's just like, whatever you're going through is really, really hard. And I don't think anyone can watch you go through that. You know, um, I don't want to let you stay here any longer, in a nice way. So I appreciated it and accepted it for what it was. And I had went back to one of my aunts that had stayed with me while I was sick, had actually helped taking care of me, and that I had helped get her place because she was in the process of losing her Section 8. I helped her move from her place, let her stay with me rent free, then found her a place within the last like 20, 10, 15 days of her having to move, and then moved her in and got everything situated for her. And she was one of the people who came over with my mom and my sister to fight me. Although she didn't get involved with the fight, she was talking like real nasty, like as if she hadn't been there and seen what I had went through. And so from there, I found the candy. One second, I'm gonna really need it. Okay, sorry about that. That's really gonna help. So from there, um, I end up homeless. My oldest son decided to leave because he said it really was a lot for him. And he was the one doing my therapy after my mom left. He called her one day, very frantic, asking her how to do the therapy because he really wanted to help me. He started helping me for a little while, but I guess it kind of got too hard, and he didn't know how to tell me that. And so he left. My baby said that he would watch me die, and that was just like the most inspiring thing to me. And so I learned how to do the therapy for myself, and I started watching tons of Mark Gerson videos or Gerson therapy videos, and learned how to do the therapy for myself. Um, I kept that up for a while, trying to take care of my baby on the streets. Some family members would let him stay, but I couldn't stay, so I would have to like work and figure out how to get to him, get him to school, still getting him to school and home every day with like throwing up and pooping on myself. Some nights I had to sleep in my car. It was crazy. I would go to the hospital. They would never understand what was going on. They would pump me with full of drugs and just like let me kick me out. I would be like kicked out of the hospital, like out of my mind, still throwing up, still pooping, still seizing. Um, and that went on for a while. So I moved in with my aunt back in Oakland, and then I went down to the Homeless Action Center to get help from to decide to get a new lawyer because the lawyer that I had wasn't really doing anything. My disability or Social Security or retirement hearing wasn't until they got it scheduled in November 2018, and there was no way I could make it that much longer. It had already been going on now like a year or two at this point. And so I move in with my aunt. She gives me 6 months. While I'm there, I had already started telling the story like I'm telling on YouTube because of what my family was saying about me. I started telling the truth and showing people the things that I had been going through and taking that link and sending it out to everybody, just hoping to tell my truth. And that's how all of this started. It was me wanting to tell my truth instead of other people telling my story for me. They were taking it where I had never gotten any degrees. I was never an x-ray tech. They had basically made me like a whore. I had AIDS and I had never slept around. Like everything that I was, they had taken and reversed it, inverted it. Like I saw how that polarity could happen, how like people could turn you and take everything that you become and flip it and reverse it and erase you. Like literally they were erasing me. Um, so I started to tell my own story on my YouTube channel. And that's how this all began. And so as I'm telling my story, I'm trying to explain the what would you call uh, higher conscious concepts or um, um, the things that I had experienced, like clairsentience, clairvoyance, um, um, projecting. Wow, I mean, um, clearing my